We're going to talk about solving sentences involving subtraction. Sentences refers to equations and inequalities. First, we're going to focus on some key words that will help us figure out how to translate from a word problem into an equation or an inequality. We'll often see words like twice. Twice a number means 2 times the number. If something triples, that means we're taking it times 3. More than is a little fussy. More than we've got to be careful with. It usually means plus, but not always. For example, if we see 5 is more than a number, or 5 is more than x, then we're comparing and saying 5 is greater than x. If we see 5 more than a number, that's telling us we're going to add 5 to the number. Sometimes we see it turned around and we'll see how much more than Kate does Steve have. Then we actually have to subtract to find the difference, s minus k. The word decreased tells us we're going to be subtracting. Some other key words that we'll often see is generally can be substituted with equals. Of tells us we're multiplying, usually. Product tells us we're going to multiply. Quotient means we're going to divide. Difference means we're going to subtract. A math sentence refers either to an equation or an inequality. So we either have to see an equal sign or a greater than or less than, one of those symbols. The phrase some number means a number that we don't know. So to stand for that number, we'll use a variable. And when we're working with inequalities, remember to switch the sign if we multiply or divide by a negative number. Let's work through a few examples. To solve the equation 6 minus y equals negative 20, we need to get y by itself. So we'll subtract 6 from both sides. Remember that minus y is the same thing as plus negative y. So we have to remember that y stays negative. So we end up with negative y equals negative 26. Negative 20 minus 6 is negative 26. But we want y equals, not negative y, so we multiply both sides by negative 1. Y equals 26. And then check our answer. 6 minus 26, substituted in for y, does give us negative 20. That works. So y equals 26 is the solution. Next we have the inequality, 5,000 minus 30x is less than 1,000. It looks kind of similar to the other one with some different numbers in there. We're going to start by subtracting 5,000 from both sides. That leaves us with negative 30x is less than 1,000 minus 5,000 is negative 4,000. Now to get rid of that negative 30, we multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. 1 over negative 30. But when I multiply by a negative number, we have to switch the sign. On the left we have x. On the right, negative 4,000 times 1 over negative 30 is 133.3 repeating. Now we're going to check the solution to this inequality as well. And checking an inequality takes a little more work. We have to check two things. First, we have to check and see if the number 133.3 is the correct number. So we put in 133.3 repeating for x. And that should make, instead of an inequality, it should make it true as an equation. So we substitute 5,000 minus 30 times 133.3 repeating should equal 1,000. 5,000 minus 4,000 is 1,000. Yes. So we know the 133.3 repeating is correct. Now we need to make sure we've got the sign going the right direction. So I put a number in for x that makes the inequality true. I need a number greater than 133.3 repeating. I'll use 200 because that's a pretty easy number to work with. So we substitute that in. 5,000 minus 30 times 200 should be less than 1,000. And it is. So we've checked the inequality. X is greater than 133.3 repeating is the correct solution. Now we have an equation that has a fraction in it, but we work through it kind of the same way. Remember, y is what we want to get by itself. So We've subtracted 9, so we're going to add 9 to both sides to undo the subtracting. Minus 9 plus 9 is 0, so that leaves us with 3/7 y equals 11. Now we multiply by the reciprocal of 3/7 on both sides, 7/3, and we end up with y equals 11 times 7 is 77, so it's 77/3. To check our answer, we multiply. Now we can simplify by taking 77 and 7, dividing them both by 7. We can divide 3 by 1, or by 3 and get 1 on both the top and the bottom. And so that product simplifies to 11. 11 minus 9 is 2. That is correct. There's our solution. Now we're going to work on translating word problems into equations. Like number 4, the difference between 22 and 6 times some number is 34. What is the number? So we're going to look for some of those key words. We see difference. That tells us we're going to subtract. Some number. We talked about how that is a number we don't know, so we're going to use a variable. I'll use n for number. Is. We talked about how that's equals. So this essentially gives us our equation. We have to subtract 22 minus some number to get 34. Sorry, minus 6 times the number to get 34. So 22 minus 6n equals 34. By directly substituting right in that sentence, we've pretty much written the equation already. In number 5, 12 less than 4 times a number is 68. Less than tells us we're going to subtract. We got to be careful though. It's 12 less than 4 times some number. That means that 12 is what we're going to be subtracting from 4 times the number. The number, don't know, call it w this time, is equals. So I'm going to have 4 times a number, that would be 4w, and 12 less than that would be 4w minus 12 equals 68. That's how we would translate those into equations, and then we'd solve them the way we solved the other ones. Thank you, and good luck.